I never imagined that a simple Friday night at a concert could turn my entire world upside down. We had been together for 3 years, and everything had felt perfect, or so I thought. My girlfriend, Emily, had insisted we go see this new indie band, and though I wasn't the biggest fan, I agreed. The idea of spending hours next to her, laughing, singing, and holding her hand, had seemed like the perfect Friday plan. The arena was packed. Lights flashed, the bass thumped, and the smell of popcorn and beer mingled in the air. Emily's energy was electric. She had this way of lighting up every space she entered, and I loved that about her. As the opening act started, she was already bouncing to the music, singing along with abandon. I smiled, thinking about how carefree she looked. But then, out of nowhere, she disappeared from my side. I scanned the crowd and noticed her laughing with someone. At first, I assumed it was just a friend from college, someone I had met briefly before. But as I pushed my way through the throng, I realized it was Jack, her guy best friend. The one she had mentioned countless times, the one she'd described as like a brother. I had never really liked the way she talked about him. There was something about the way she smiled around him that made my chest tighten in a way I didn't understand. I tried to dismiss the feeling. And then it happened. Emily climbed onto Jack's shoulders. My heart stopped. At first, I thought it was some kind of joke, maybe a dare or a way to see the stage better. But the way she laughed, the way her hand rested on his shoulder a little too easily, it felt intimate. It felt like she was enjoying more than just the music. I stood frozen, my hands gripping the metal barrier in front of me, watching as my girlfriend, the girl I trusted with my life, let herself be lifted by another man in a way that made every memory I had of us suddenly feel fragile. People cheered around them, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I wanted to shout, to pull her down, to demand to know what she was thinking. But my throat went dry, and all I could do was watch. As the crowd surged, Emily laughed and leaned closer to Jack, whispering something I couldn't hear. I could see the way he looked at her, the way his hand rested at her waist, steadying her as if it was the most natural thing in the world. I felt a hot rush of betrayal, a sick feeling that clawed at my stomach. Every moment we had shared, the late-night talks, the weekends we'd spent together, the promises we'd made, felt suddenly meaningless. When the band launched into their hit song, Emily and Jack sang along together, bodies pressed close enough that my jealousy and heartbreak twisted into something almost physical. I wanted to storm in and ruin the moment, but the crowd was dense, and part of me feared what I might do if I got close. So I stood there, shaking, as she laughed with him, completely oblivious to the fact that I was watching everything unravel. It wasn't just the physical closeness that broke me, it was the realization that she had been hiding a side of herself from me, a side that included Jack in ways I hadn't imagined. The idea that she might have feelings for him, feelings she had kept from me, shattered the foundation I thought we had built. My mind raced with questions. How long had this been going on? Had she been thinking about him while she was with me? Was I just a placeholder while she waited for someone else? The concert ended in a blur. Emily hopped off Jack's shoulders, brushing off her clothes, still laughing as though nothing had happened. I tried to act normal, to slip past them and find my way home without causing a scene. She turned to me with that radiant smile I had once adored, and my chest twisted painfully. I wanted to scream, to demand the truth, but I couldn't. I had seen everything I needed to see. Later, we sat in the car in silence. The ride home was tense, filled with the weight of unspoken words. I wanted to ask her about Jack, about why she had climbed on his shoulders and laughed in a way that had nothing to do with the music. But even as I struggled to form the words, I realized I already knew the answer. The betrayal was written in her actions, in the way she had allowed herself to be lifted, balanced, and held by someone else while I watched helplessly. When we got home, I waited until she had gone inside to collect my thoughts. I replayed every moment of the night in my head, trying to convince myself that maybe I was overreacting, that maybe it was just a harmless act of fun. But I couldn't. The image of her on Jack's shoulders, laughing with abandon, was burned into my mind. It wasn't just a moment at a concert, it was a revelation. It told me that the trust one had given her so freely was not returned. The next morning, I confronted her. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply asked her, "Why did you do it?" She looked confused at first, then defensive. It's just Jack, she said. We were having fun. Why are you making this a big deal? But to me, it wasn't just a big deal. It was everything. It was the breaking point. I realized that I had been holding on to an illusion, a version of Emily that didn't exist outside of my mind. The person who had climbed on her best friend's shoulders, laughing and leaning into him, was not the person I thought I knew. I ended things that day. I didn't scream, I didn't beg, I just walked away. The betrayal was not about a single act, it was about the trust that had been quietly eroded over time. Seeing her in that moment, so carefree and connected to someone else, was the confirmation of something I had feared but had never wanted to admit. As I drove away, I felt a mix of grief, relief, and clarity. Grief for the relationship that had ended, relief that I had finally seen the truth, and clarity that I deserved someone who would never let another person take the place I held in their heart. That night at the concert had shattered everything, but it had also given me the courage to let go, to recognize that some betrayals are not about a single action, they are about the realization that the person you love can exist fully without you. And as I drove into the city lights, leaving the echoes of the concert behind, I knew I would never forget the image of her on his shoulders, laughing in a way that broke everything between us.